today we are reacting to Team Samurai X1, why Yu-Gi-Oh never had Pokemon's longevity. Now, I'm not sure what the video is about exactly. I'm not sure if he's like speaking on like the trading card game or speaking on just the franchises in total. But I want to hear him out. I want to see like, why Yu-Gi-Oh isn't as popular. I mean, it's popular, but like I guess have the longevity of Pokemon. Let's see what he has to say.
A user on X, Dahlia, posted a question that broke the internet. So why did Yu-Gi-Oh not
Oh yeah, I think I remember this. I do. I think I've never seen this on Twitter. This question.
have the same longevity that Pokemon did? 1.9 million views, 937 replies, people losing their minds in the comments, Yu-Gi-Oh fans offended, Pokemon fans smug, people who haven't touched a card since 2004 suddenly all have an opinion. And honestly, it's one of the most interesting questions anyone's asked pop culture in a very long time. Dahlia had to even clarify in a follow-up. I know Yu-Gi-Oh still exists because I play it. I'm saying it dipped in popularity while Pokemon didn't.
True. I mean, I could see that. I could see that being the case. I could see that being the case. I guess we're talking more on the card games. It seems okay. You know what I'm thinking about this. I was just thinking about right now. How come you never see Yu-Gi-Oh scalpers? You know scalpers? How come you never hear or see about Yu-Gi-Oh scalpers, but you hear and see about Pokemon scalpers? How come everyone rushes to get the Pokemon cards, but nobody rushes to get the Yu-Gi-Oh cards? I wonder why is that the case? How come it's easier to, auction and price Pokemon cards versus Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Now I'll see this. Growing up, I had both cards. I don't know exactly how to play the Pokemon card game. I never learned how to play the card game. I just like collecting the cards. I really don't know the rules to that game. I to this day never played the card game. But I wouldn't mind playing the card game in the future. I wouldn't mind like learning how to play the card game. But I never played the card game before. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! On the hand, I have played the card game. I've used to play it as a kid, back in elementary. But I know now these days the rules have changed, which is I don't know how you could change the rules of how to play the card, but yeah, again, I'm asking, like, how come we never hear about the scalpers for Yu-Gi-Oh, but we always hear about the Pokemon scalpers?
And that's exactly it. This isn't about whether Yu-Gi-Oh is dead. It's about why one franchise became the single greatest media empire in human history.
True. Okay. Well, if we're going based on take card game element out, if we're going based on the whole scale, the whole spectrum of it all, Pokemon will outbeat Yu-Gi-Oh because it's vast. It's like I feel like it's more to it than Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, I don't know. Like comparing Yu-Gi-Oh to Pokemon is just like I don't know if that's a good comparison though. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know if it's a good comparison. Because I mean, if you look at the Pokemon franchise and Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, they're like two completely different things, you could say. But both are beloved by children and adults alike. It's just like, I don't know, like just comparing the two. It's kind of let's see what he has to say because it's really interesting. I never would compare the two if we're looking at based on the whole like franchise part, like everything in between. But if we're looking at core base, aspect, again, Pokemon cards are more, I want to say, popular than Yu-Gi-Oh. But Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like it's more technical, as far as like the card game aspect when playing.
Worth over 150 billion. And the other one, despite being so beloved, just as iconic, just as culturally significant, didn't. Before we get into the why, I need to make something very clear. Because the internet loves to rewrite history. Both of these franchises were absolutely enormous. In the late 90s and in the early 2000s,
Of course, they were popular. Dude, Yu-Gi-Oh had its own craze back then. Yo, everyone had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Everyone had the dual, the dual thing. I had one of those where like you can. It's like the dual disc. Is that what's called, the dual disc? Where you could put it on your arm, like like on the show, how they like Kaiba. You put it, your cards, and you like, yeah, everyone had that. So I mean, to say that it didn't have its own, you know, time, it did. It surely did. I remember back then. I remember the early 2000s.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, the two biggest things in every elementary school, middle school, and Saturday morning television block on.
Exactly. I do remember watching the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and I remember, like I said, back in elementary, that was a biggest thing. I ain't gonna lie, I have a story to tell, and I know some people probably think that I'm all over the place, but yeah. I remember being in the first grade, breaking. This is a true story, bro. And I can say that Yu-Gi-Oh is popular because I had the cards. I do remember also having the Toon deck, Pegasus Toon deck. I did have Pegasus Toon deck, but I remember back in the first grade having brought my deck to school, and for some reason I don't know why I did. I don't know. I don't know why I did the things I did as a kid, but for some reason I don't know how this happened. I can't remember how this led up to this moment. But it's the idea that I went around the whole classroom just showing my cards. Like I literally got up from my desk and like went aisle by aisle, just showing my cards. I, I don't. I guess the teacher allowed it. I don't know what. I don't know why I did that, but I remember that till this day, getting up from my desk. Can't remember the true reason why I did it. I don't think it was like a show and I don't think we had show and tell or anything. I don't know. I just did it to do it. So I remember like going each aisle by aisle, showing everyone my cards. And I remember it came to this one kid, and till this day, I can remember it. I can't remember his face, but I can remember the moment what he was doing. Okay, so I went by his desk, right, and I was just showing my cards, and for some reason, he was singing "Candy Shop" by 50 Cent to himself. Like he was humming it. If you know the Candy Shop song, I think it's Candy Shop. I took you to the candy shop. I'm going to buy what you like when you like. Yeah, he was humming that to himself, and I was just, this is the first grade, so it's like, you know, so it's just, I don't know, it's a funny story to tell. I have like plenty of funny stories to tell on the channel, but I just think it was like a funny story, to tell because he literally was just humming that to himself. Like, now, if you think that's a appropriate song for a first grader to know, I mean, hey, it was popular back then. This is the early 2000s, so it is what it is. But back to the video.
The planet. Pokemon launched in Japan in February 1996 as a Game Boy game. The anime followed in 1997. The cards arrived in the US in the late 1998 to the early 1999s. By the time it reached Western shores, it was already synchronized as a cultural invasion. Games, anime, cards, McDonald's toys, movies, all at once, all pointing at each other. Pokemon was huge! Yu-Gi-Oh! Debuted as a manga in Weekly Shonen Jump in the late 1996, created by Kazuki Takahashi. The anime we all knew hit Japan in 1998 to 2000 and reached the US shortly right after. The trading card game arrived stateside in 2002 with Legends of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, 4 years after Pokemon cards. As recently as 2021, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had actually outsold Pokemon in total cards. 35 billion to 34 billion.
Interesting. Okay.
35
I had this. I believe I had him in my deck. I feel like I had him in my deck back then.
billion to 34 billion. Crazy. For one brief moment, the king of games was literally
But here's the thing: Yu-Gi-Oh originally wasn't gonna be what it is today. It was supposed to be just games in general, if I'm not mistaken. Like the original story of Yu-Gi-Oh was just more like games. They're like everybody was just playing different types of games. Kind of, I would say it was gonna be like Kakaguri in a sense. On that, I wouldn't say exactly one on one to it, but it was gonna be kind of like Kakaguri. Though, like I guess you could say like somewhat of the gambling aspect, but it was just more based on like games. Like the characters are like just playing different types of games. It wasn't just core games. Now I can't remember exactly the point where okay the chords became a staple in the series. Like you know I do want to check out season 0. I found season 0 finally. I do want to check it out. I do want to watch it. I genuinely do, because like I've heard about, like, it's like when I heard about season 0, I was like, yo, that's sick, bro. That's so cool. And I can't wait to watch season 0.
winning. But then the Pokemon card collecting boom hit. In just the following year alone, in 2022, Pokemon sold 9.1 billion cards. By 2023, they'd sold over 52 billion cards total worldwide. Yu-Gi-Oh's lead lasted about 2 years, and then Pokemon just ran away with it permanently. So no, Yu-Gi-Oh was not a flop. It was not a knockoff. It was a genuine phenomenon that millions of people loved. The question is why Pokemon kept winning while Yu-Gi-Oh plateaued. And the answer is layered. But the people in Dahlia's replies actually cracked a lot of it open for us. So let's use them as our roadmap. One of the top replies in this thread came from someone named CLP. They got rid of Yugi. Pokemon stuck with Ash for 26.
Okay, okay. That's good. That's good. That's a good point. That's a good point. You got a cold like pizza. Got a good point. The whole getting rid of Yugi. That's when they got rid of Yugi. That's when I stopped watching the show. I ain't gonna lie. I think was it Jaden, the other guy, XD. I forgot what the series after the original Yugi. After they got rid of Yugi, I was like, yeah, I'm not watching this. I could see that. Now for Digimon, Digimon's a whole different story. When they got changed their characters, because we had the original Avengers, and they got Avengers 2, but you still had the original cast part of Avengers 2, right? You still had the original cast part of Avengers 2, but then Tamers came. Now that's like deconstruction. Now we're going to like the deconstruction realm of like the story, which is really good. I think Tamers might just be the better version of Avengers and Avengers 2. I'll say that. I think Tamers is up there. Like if I'm gonna look at it, I think a Tamers is a better telling of Digimon. Um, yeah, I would say that Tamers. And again, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh video, but I'm just speaking in terms of everything aspect. Now, Frontiers is actually good too, because Frontiers you become the Digimon versus having a Digimon, you become one. So that's also a good take. But what I'm trying to say is when they got rid of Yugi, it's just like yeah, I'm good. I'm out of here. Kind of like I feel like the Shark Tanks. I'm just I'm out. But Ash, them having Ash for 26 years, yeah, and then now they got rid of Ash. I don't know. You guys ever watch the new Pokemon? I don't know. Like it was like worth watching because Ash is not there. I mean, they already got rid of his old companion, so now they got rid of Ash's Pikachu. It's like, is it worth watching nowadays? But yeah, they got rid of Yugi. Pokemon stuck with Ash for 26 years. I didn't give about some kids at a school playing cards. grown men would still watch Yugi and Kaiba won the fade to this day on some Goku and Vegeta. I swear to yeah, I mean, you know, who, yeah, he's right. I mean, who wouldn't want to watch Yugi and Kaiba's rivalry?
Years. Grown men will still watch Yugi and Kaiba run the fade till this day on some Goku and Vegeta And he's right. This is maybe the single biggest structural mistake Yugi day on some Goku and Vegeta And he's right. This is maybe the single biggest structural.
Okay, see this guy? When he came in the scene, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm out. No offense to him. No offense to this guy. No offense to this guy. No offense to the green hair guy. No offense to any of the guys, but y'all ain't Yugi, my man. Listen, I'm a hard down Yugi fan. That's my boy. That's my man's. I just can't get down now. This now right here, I feel like it's some new gen stuff. You know, I feel like this is where like the new gens start coming in. It's like, yeah, I can't. I'm an OG. You know, I gotta stick with Yugi.
Mistake Yu-Gi-Oh has made. One that played out slowly over the years, and by the time anybody has noticed, the damage was already done. After the original series ended, Yu-Gi-Oh moved on. GX, new protagonists. 5Ds, new protagonists on motorcycles. You say Jack Atlas, Pro, card games on motorcycle? That was pretty cool. But personally, for me, Zexal, Arc V, Vrains, now Go Rush? What is that? Each new show.
True. What is that? True. He has a point. What is that? You know.
Brought a completely new cast, a new setting, a new art style, and with each reset, a portion of the original audience didn't follow, like myself. Meanwhile, Ash Ketchum was catching Pokemon since 1997 all the way till 2023. 26 years. The same kid. Ash Ketchum. The same Pikachu. You could literally drop Pokemon in 2005 and come back in 2019 and Ash Ketchum will still be there. The emotional continuity was unbroken. But after Duel Monsters, the iconic characters that we love, Yugi, Kaiba, Joey, they're gone. King Beast put it simply in the replies, shit got too confusing after 5Ds. And truly, it did. And that's the casual fan experience in a nutshell. Once the motorcycle showed up and the protagonist changed up again.
See, I didn't watch 5Ds. Like I said, I didn't, after the original Yu-Gi-Oh show, I didn't watch any of the other series. So I didn't even know this was in Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm just learning something new today. Let me know if you guys ever watched 5Ds. I'd never watched 5Ds.
Again, a lot of people quietly put down the cards and just never really picked it up again. One commenter in the Trevor Allen thread made a point that hit different. Yu-Gi-Oh basically abandoned its primary characters. There's
True, they did abandon the primary characters, the original cast from the original story. Yu-Gi-Oh has iconic monsters they could have ran with too, become staples of the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, but they choose not to. True, I mean, you're very right, Martin. You're very right. You're very right about that.
no Ash and Pikachu. Yu-Gi-Oh has iconic monsters it could have run with to become staples of the universe, but they chose not to do that. And Trevor's response was very honest. It's fair to say both were 10 out of 10 stories at the beginning. Then Pokemon chose to copy and paste theirs every few years, which sounds lazy, but it's perfect for kids. And now parents and siblings can relate to it and appreciate it. I guess under 2% of people seeing this know who this is. Honestly, Trevor, I don't even know who that is, bro.
I don't know who that is either. Like, who is this? Now, I'm being serious. Who is this? I'm right with you, man. I don't even know who this is either.
Know who this is? Honestly, Trevor, I don't even know who that is, bro. Is that Yuma? No. Yuma is. See, you see this? It even gets confusing for me. Okay, that guy right there in that picture, Yuma is from Zex.
I don't even know who Yuma is. I don't even know I don't even know Yuma. I think only person I know after Yugi, I think his name's Jaden from GX. I think his name is Jaden. That's the only one I know.
So, That is you. That is Yuva. Who? No, Yuya. That is Yuya from RG. There you go, Yuya. I almost got it wrong. And guys, that's the genius behind Pokemon's apparent laziness. The repetition of showing Ash Ketchum wasn't a creative failure. It was a generational bridge. A dad who watched Pokemon in 1999 can watch it again with his kid in 2024 and feel at home. The shared experience is priceless, and it's something Yu-Gi-Oh! Cannot structurally offer the exact same way that Pokemon does it. Here's one that Trevor Allen's thread dug into it with receipts. Literally, guys, with pictures. Trevor posted a side-by-side Pikachu on one side and the Wicked Worm Beast on the other. A grotesque, multi-limbed monster. That's your answer. Look at the two side by side. In general, Pokemon had a broader appeal to kids. Don't get me wrong, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards are iconic and had appeal, but to a more selective group of kids. Plus, kids media in general has kind of shifted away from this monstrous, edgy look. Just look at the goosebumps fall off. And I agree with Trevor. There's a reason Pikachu is on everything from Gucci collaborations to literal airplanes. Anna Air in Japan has been painting Pikachu on their jets since 1998. The character is universally approachable. A 5-year-old loves Pikachu. A grandmother can identify.
Yeah, because it's cute and cuddly. Versus a Yu-Gi-Oh cord, some of them are not cute and cuddly. They're monstrous. So it's like, it's kind of got like a spooky aspect to it. Whereas Pikachu is more warm and cute and cuddly, and it's easier to market it. Whereas some Yu-Gi-Oh monsters, they're not as easily to market.
Like Pikachu. My mom even knows what a Pikachu is, but if I show her a Dark Magician, she'll get all confused, like, what is this? Everybody knows Pikachu. Meanwhile, Yu-Gi-Oh's monster designs, genuinely incredible. Deeply creative, visually striking, but it's a different language. Dark Magician, Summon Skull, the Gate Guardian. These are cool to a specific kind of kid. That kid is real. I was that kid until this day. And
I was that kid too. I was the kid for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was the kid for Pokemon. But, I didn't pick a side per se, but I liked it both. Now, there probably are some kids that just picked a side. So, that probably are just diehard Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans. So.
I'm still that kid. But that kid is a subset. Pokemon's Pikachu is for everybody. Jeffers in Trevor Allen's thread made a nuanced counterpoint worth including. Pokemon definitely has the broader appeal of cute monsters, especially amongst its biggest icons. But whenever you see references to any card game, you see Blue Eyes and Exodia before you see Charizard. Video games simply gain more mainstream traction than the TCGs. And that's a fair point. But the card game space is just one corner of the culture. Pokemon built a mansion.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, is that Pokemon is more broad. It has card games, the anime, video games. It has merchandise. It has this. It has that. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh, it's mostly just the card games, basically. Sure, there might be other merchandise, and got the anime, but it's just mainly just one thing, and it's just cards. Like, the whole premise is them playing cards. That's it. That's basically it.
Yu-Gi-Oh built a really impressive room inside it. JC3 in the replies kept it super simple. Too much complexity added over the years, in my opinion. Bleak also mentioned they really overcomplicated Yu-Gi-Oh as the show went on. Pokemon maintained a certain familiarity that's easy to tap back into. And this is the death by 1,000 cuts that nobody talks about. Yu-Gi-Oh in 2002 was pretty easy and accessible. You had monster cards, spell cards, you summon a monster, attack, and the main goal is just to bring your opponent's life points to 0. Kids could play it in the schoolyard without a rule book. Sometimes we would even make our own rules. We just go by straight up instinct. We'll just summon monsters.
True, that's how I played. I played it how they played in the anime. That's how I played the game. The card game was like based on how the anime was, how they would play it. That's how I played it. With other people.
attack, just exactly like how the show intended us to play. It was easy, it was simple. But modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Link summoning, synchro summoning, Xyz summon, pendulum summoning. Half of you guys watching this video probably don't even know what pendulum summoning is.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. So you're right. I don't know what that is.
Read the alphabet, X, Y, Z. Bro, I know. Trust me. Hand traps, Ash Blossom, Max C, 1020 negates, Call by the Grave, DDDs, 15 to 30 minute turns. In Yu-Gi-Oh! If you walked away from the game for 5 years and come back, I promise you, you're not going to be playing the same game. Dylan in the replies captured the vibe perfectly with some dark humor. Everyone who loses ended up in the Shadow Realm. That's the player base divided by 2 every year. Pokemon, you can just go to Pokemon Center and be on your way. Yu-Gi-Oh! You literally go to hell if you lose. It's a joke, but it's kind of a harsh truth. Pokemon is warm, forgiving, and it's really easy to get into. But Yu-Gi-Oh! It is intense, high stakes, and it's very demanding. Yu-Gi-Oh! is...
I mean, they still have that, okay. That carried over from what it was originally supposed to be. Like, you know, like I said, like season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh! It still has those elements where what it was supposed to be, which it was supposed to be more than just card games. It was supposed to be like in general games, and you know, I think the Shadow Realm was part of the original story. So yeah, it did carry over. Like the dark elements did kind of carry over, and Yugi himself, you know, when he become a Yami, I think that's the from the Millennium Puzzle. Yami, he's more of a sick, twisted individual, whereas you know we see him as like, oh, he's like, you could say cool, calm, collected, but really he's like a demented person, which you know kind of, you know, for the sake of like redoing the whole story to kind of tone him down. If I'm correct, that's how Yami. I believe it's Yami, right? The pharaoh, the one that's when Yugi has the Millennium Puzzle that he becomes. He was originally this sick, twisted, demented person that, you know, when it came to like the games that he's playing, like he was, yeah. Let me know in the comment section below.
Really great for a competitive, dedicated community. And in my opinion, it is not the biggest or the greatest when it comes to mass cultural longevity. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is big, don't get me wrong, but in comparison to Pokemon, that's a whole nother ball game, bro. Roberto Blake said it best in the replies, and it might be the most accurate take in the entire thread. It has just not the scale. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a thriving community, but they didn't make the game itself too complicated for new players and OG players. The people who grew up playing this game, who watched Yu-Gi Duel Kaiba, who pulled their very first Blue Eyes, who knew every card in the original sets. Even they got left behind as the game evolved. Link monsters, Pendulum monsters, 15...
Yeah, I definitely got left behind when it came to that. Like, if I pick up the card game now, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to play it or what to do if I picked up the card game now. I didn't know they have like these new cards. I never heard of them before.
30-minute turns, and at some point, the game stopped feeling like the one they fell in love with. And if you're a brand new player trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh!, let me be honest, it can get overwhelming. You're not just learning a card game that we all once knew. You're learning years of accumulative mechanics, ban lists, and metagame shifts that changes every few months. Pokemon, on the other hand, is just really easy to get into. The rules are simple, the concept is very straightforward, and whether you're 6 years old picking up the cards for the very first time, or someone returning after a 10-year break, Pokemon welcomes you easier than Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, Yu-Gi-Oh! Built something incredible, but over time, the doors just got harder and harder to walk through. Meme Bastard in the reply said, it just wasn't as good at hooking people. Gotta catch them all was one hell of a gimmick. And look, I hear that, but let's be fair here, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had one of the most iconic catchphrases of all time. It's time to duel.
It's time to duel.
Come on, you.
It's one of the, I ain't gonna lie, it's up there. It's up there. One of the greatest catchphrases. Um, you know what? Also a good catchphrase, Blade Blade. Let's let it rip. That's a good catchphrase too. You gotta say every when you okay. I know this is about Yu-Gi-Oh, but on the sake of catchphrases, when you're playing Blade Blade, you gotta say let's let it rip. As soon as you drop your Blade Blade down, you just gotta say it. But as far as like Yu-Gi-Oh, it's time to duel. I feel like you gotta say that too.
Felt that. It's time to duel. God damn! Everyone who grew up in that era felt that. The music kicks in, Yugi's hair goes all crazy, the Millennium Puzzle all shines up. Oh my god! Yami comes out, you feel what I'm saying? Atem comes out.
So it is Yami. His name is Yami. The person in the Millennium Puzzle that overtakes Yugi's body, that he manifests out of is Yami. Okay, I was correct. Yeah, like I said earlier, I believe Yami originally was a sick, twisted, demented person. How the story was originally supposed to be, but they did slow down. We did him to be more cool, calm, collected.
The duel disc snaps wide open, and it's time to duel, baby! It's time to duel! That phrase alone could fill up an entire stadium with nostalgia, and I promise you that. So it's not that Yu-Gi-Oh didn't have a hook. It absolutely did. The problem is what each hook asks you to do. It's time to duel, I'll be honest. Feels like a battle cry. You know what I'm saying? Like it's time to duel. It's time, it's that time, baby. It's time to get your hands dirty. But most importantly, it is an invitation to compete. And competition has a winner and has a loser. It speaks to a different kind of person. It speaks to the kid who wants to truly test themselves. Like me, you know what I'm saying? It's time to duel. But gotta catch them all. I'm gonna be honest, it's completely different. Everybody also knows, gotta catch them all, you know what I'm saying? It's Pokemon. And I'll be honest, gotta catch them all feels like a potion loop. This catchphrase doesn't feel like it's asking you to compete. It asks you to collect. Collection has no losers. There's just no wrong way to do it. Collecting is, you're never done and there's always more. And the franchise makes sure of that by adding new Pokemon in constantly every few years. Both phrases are iconic, but unfortunately, one of them had a ceiling while the other didn't. And now it's time to actually take a look on where both franchises actually sit at. Pokemon's total all-time revenue is over $150 billion. In 2024 alone, nearly 12 billion Pokemon cards were distributed worldwide, and merchandise sales hit 10.8 billion. The franchise brings in over 12 billion per year. 12 Bs per year, bro. Mostly for merchandise. The anime has been watched by more than 1 billion people across 138 countries. It is the highest grossing media franchise in human history, fam. That's crazy. Pokemon is ahead of Star Wars, ahead of...
I was about to ask, that's what I said. So, okay, so it's on top. So Pokemon is on top compared to everyone else. Okay, because I was about to about to ask okay, is there anyone close to that? But I guess not. I guess nobody's close to Pokemon at all.
Marvel, ahead of Mickey Mouse. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, has an estimated total revenue of $20 billion, which is huge. It's a lot. Still a massive number, an incredible achievement.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, that is a lot. When you think about 20 billion, that's more than most people have. Trust me. But as far as like a franchise, it being at the bottom, I mean, I guess it. I mean, to me, in terms, it looks like it's doing good for itself. 20 billion, again, it's a lot, but compared to like everyone else, might not be as doing good, but it's still, somewhat doing good.
Sad to say it, but Yu-Gi-Oh is just a fraction when it comes to comparing itself to Pokemon. And that...
True, it is a fraction. I mean, that is a big fraction. That's a big fraction.
Gap, unfortunately, isn't closing. It's widening. Because Pokemon is a licensing machine. It's a video game pipeline. It's a card collecting boom. And Pokemon cards are now considered as an alternative asset class. Like, what? and its multi-generational nostalgia engine all firing simultaneously in a way Yu-Gi-Oh structure simply doesn't allow for. First, let's be clear about something. Yu-Gi-Oh is not a failure. Not even close. 35 billion cards sold, that's an accomplishment. Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the most iconic animes in history. A trading card game that still runs massive tournaments worldwide to this day. A catchphrase that an entire generation can recite without even thinking. Characters that people genuinely love decades later. That is not a franchise that lost. That is a franchise that won, but just not at the same scale as the greatest media empire ever built. And that's the most honest answer to that question. It was never really about Yu-Gi-Oh doing something wrong. It was just about two franchises being built for fundamentally different purposes. And one of those purposes happened to have no ceiling. Pokemon was built to be everything for everyone. Deliberately or accidentally, it became a video game, a TV show, a card game, a toy line, a mobile app, a fashion statement, a collector's market, and a childhood memory. All at once, all reinforcing each other.
Yeah, it became all that. But again, I feel like that's where Yu-Gi-Oh didn't accomplish or become. It's just strictly card games. You know what I mean? Like it's just based on the anime, based on the franchise in total. It's just card games. So it does put a dent when it comes to, like, I guess you could say, merchandising and products, because like the most you can get out of is just cards. I mean, yeah, you can have T-shirts and clothing and all that, but like, I don't know. I mean, you can also do video games, but then the video games itself is just you're playing cards. So it's like that aspect is like something to think about.
Pokemon scaled with you as you were growing up, and it was always there, the same when you always wanted to come back. Ash Ketchum for over 2 decades? That is insane. Yu-Gi-Oh was built for a specific kind of person, the kid who wanted a real challenge, who loved strategy, who loved competition, who loved winning, who felt something when Yugi drew the card he needed at the last possible second. That kid is real, and that kid is me. And millions of us exist. And Yu-Gi-Oh gave us something that Pokemon could never do. A game with actual depth and complexity. Pokemon
True. I mean, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh it's a strategy. It's made for strategists. I mean, Pokemon is somewhat like a strategy too. You got to know your types and stuff. But truly, that hands down, Yu-Gi-Oh beats Pokemon when it comes to strategy, and you becoming a strategist. Like really tapping into that.
cast the wildest net in entertainment history and caught everybody. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, cast a more deliberate net and caught the people who were looking for exactly what it offered. And those people, like myself and all of you guys who are watching who are Yu-Gi-Oh fans, we never forgot it. Yu-Gi-Oh is in our roots. So it's not that Yu-Gi-Oh didn't have longevity. It's just that Pokemon's longevity became something that genuinely never been seen before in human history. Comparing anything to that isn't a knock. It's just the reality of what Pokemon became. So why didn't Yu-Gi-Oh have the same longevity as Pokemon? The real answer is almost nothing did. Almost nothing ever will. At the end of the day, both of these franchises shaped the generation. If you grew up in the late 90s or the early 2000s, one of these or both meant something real to you. And like myself,
Both meant something real to me personally. I enjoy both series, both franchises, so they both mean a lot to me. But I would say Pokemon mean a little bit more than Yu-Gi-Oh, but I still grew up with both franchises. So, Pokemon is a little bit more, but, again, I still grew up with both franchises.
I love both. I grew up watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And I grew up watching Pokemon. And you see, I'm not playing Pokemon to this day because I resonated with Yu-Gi-Oh! The most. Pokemon.
I am the opposite. I am not playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but I still play Pokemon. See how that works? It's like you're the Yu-Gi-Oh guy, I'm the Pokemon guy. We both grew up watching the animes and stuff, but one resonates with the other. I resonate a little bit more with Pokemon. You resonate more with Yu-Gi-Oh. I like both, but as today stands, I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh like I used to as a kid because I mean, I could say that I outgrew the series per se. Like I said, after Yugi left, I stopped catching up with it, and I stopped playing the card games. I could say that I didn't really have anyone else to play the card games because other people, as kids, we grew up, we started having other interests. So I guess kids around me didn't like want to play the card games. But speaking of card games, remember Zatch Bell? Oh my god, I love Zatch Bell. When Zatch Bell came around, that's when everyone moved to Zatch Bell. That's another thing. We're talking about card games. We gotta touch about Zatch Bell because Zatch Bell did have a card game. If you had a mirror having a Zatch book, right? Had Zatch book with the cards in it. So, yeah, like kids when Zatch Bell came out, everyone moved to Zatch Bell, start playing the Zatch Bell cards and stuff. So, it's kind of like a fad. You can say it's like a fad, but like it is what I guess you could say it is what it is. But like I said, I mean, now I do want to get back into the card games of Yu-Gi-Oh. I do want to like play Yu-Gi-Oh. I know there's like the online game I could play, but I don't know. Like the rules are totally different these days, so I would like have to like learn the new rules and learn how to truly play it now. It's not like it was, in the early 2000s that I could say. Um, I know that last time I seen Yu-Gi-Oh card games being played was high school. I had some classmates every morning they would play Yu-Gi-Oh, but I know the way they explained to me, the game's totally different. So the game's been totally different since high school that I know of because I had classmates that would play it in the hallway in the mornings. Like when I would get to school, they would like sit like in the hall and play against each other, and I would watch them. So and they would like tell me about it. And I remember one of them gave me like the rule book. I don't think I still have the. I don't think I have the rule book anymore, but he gave me like the rule book and stuff. But I would definitely get back into the card games, but I have to like really learn the new rules and the new system.
And Yu-Gi-Oh both weren't just card games. They were how we made friends, it's how we spent our allowance, and how we learned that losing could hurt and winning could feel incredible. It's just so that one of them became a $150 billion empire, while the other is still out there, still competing, and still dueling. And honestly, that question tells you everything you need to know. Yu-Gi-Oh still lives. And hey guys, if you guys enjoyed this type of content where, I break down, tweets and threads and answer pop culture questions in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and things like that, please let me know in the comments below if you guys enjoy this type of content, and be sure to subscribe for more content like this because I had truly an amazing time writing this entire script and just breaking everything down and reading all these cool tweets. This video was super duper fun to make. And yeah, man, just let me know in the comments on what your thoughts on videos like these on the channel, and be sure to subscribe for more content and video essays like this. But most importantly, before I go, I want to hear from you. Do you think Yu-Gi-Oh could have a comeback moment like Pokemon did? Or
I believe it can. I mean, why couldn't it? Why can't it? Why can't it? I believe it can. I believe with the right marketing, the right way to do it, I think it could have a comeback. I mean, we live in a time of nostalgia, so why not? You can definitely revamp the story for like a new generation and for old fans to come back. I mean, again, the right way to do it, the right marketing, that we're still in this whole reboot, remaster era of nostalgia. Why can't it?
has that ship completely sailed? Drop it in the comment section below and let's keep the conversation going. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
And that was Team Samurai X1. Why Yu-Gi-Oh never had Pokemon's longevity. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if you guys are Team Yu-Gi-Oh, Team Pokemon, Team both. Let me know if you guys grew up watching both animes, grew up playing the card games. Let me know if you're Team Yugi. I'm Team Yugi. Always have been. I never watched the other series after Yugi. I think I'm the guy from GX. I think his name's Jaden. Someone I know. But I grew up just watching OG Yu-Gi-Oh, Yugi and the Gang. But let me know what you think about this. Let me know. You think Yu-Gi-Oh can have a comeback? I think it can. I think it could work out. I think you can definitely see a Yu-Gi-Oh comeback. A Yu-Gi-Oh was resurgence, I want to say, or renaissance. One of the two. I think it can definitely work out. I think it could definitely happen. Me personally. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that it can make a comeback. And let me know, do you think that if Yu-Gi-Oh was done differently, it could be on the same pace as Pokemon. Like it could be, I want, I guess rival to Pokemon, but I couldn't see it being a rival. But just like on pace, like side by side, like they're both moving in the same direction per se. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion about the topic on hand. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.